Welcome back to the deep dive. You know that feeling when you're looking at your financials and sure, you can see what happened last month, but you have no real idea how to confidently plan for next month? Well, today, we are cracking that code. We are going to take a deep, focused dive into something called Cost Volume Profit Analysis, or CVP. We're going way beyond the standard income statement, which, our sources are pretty clear is kind of useless for building confidence or answering those critical what-if questions.
Exactly. I mean, the problem with all that traditional reporting is it's historical. It tells you where you've been, not where you're going. CVP analysis, that's the systematic toolkit that lets managers really understand the relationship between their costs, their volume, their sales, and the profit that comes out the other end. And the whole thing, the entire foundation, it really hinges on one single concept, the contribution margin.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We are going to unpack these concepts, get a handle on the formulas, and use some really simple examples, a hamburger stand, a baseball glove company, to show you exactly how this kind of analysis lets you forecast your success, not just, report on your failures. Okay, so let's get right into it. This key idea, contribution margin, or CM. What exactly are we talking about here? I mean, the simple definition you always hear is it's the money from each sale that goes to cover fixed costs and then maybe generate profit.
And that's true. It is. But that definition sort of misses the mental model you need to have. You really have to change how you think about every dollar that walks in the door. Instead of this one big bucket of costs, CVP forces a two-step process. So, step one, the contribution margin you get from your sales. Use that to pay off your fixed costs, your rent, insurance, the stuff you have to pay no matter what. Then step two, once those fixed costs are totally paid off, any CM that's left over, that is pure profit. The question to always ask is contribution to what? And the answer is always contribution to paying my fixed costs.
Let's make that real with the 60-cent secret. Let's say you're running a classic hamburger stand. You sell a burger for $2. Your variable costs, so that's the meat, the bun, the wrapper, the person's time to assemble it, that all comes to $1.40.
In that case, yeah, your contribution margin per unit is 60 cents. That's the piece of the sale you get to keep to, put toward the rent on the stand. Or maybe you're a bit more high-end, a restaurant selling a meal for $15. The variable costs are $9, say, $5 for the food and $4 for the direct labor. Your CM is $6 per meal, whether it's 60 cents or $6. That number, the CM, is the cleanest way to see how profitable a product really is.
Okay, so here's the question I think our listeners probably asking. We've all got the standard income statement, right? It says sales minus total expenses equals profit. So why do we need this whole other system, this whole new term?
Because that traditional statement is completely blind to changes in volume. If you ask it, hey, what happens if I sell 100 more units? It actually can't tell you. It can't give you a precise answer because it mixes together the fixed costs, which won't change, and the variable costs, which will.
So you can't predict anything without pulling those two things apart.
You can't. And that's why CVP analysis demands its own income statement, the contribution margin income statement. It's built to solve that exact problem.
So the structure is different.
Completely. It goes sales minus variable costs equals your contribution margin. And then from that number, you subtract your fixed costs to get your operating profit. That contribution margin line right in the middle, that's the hinge. That's what managers use internally. It's where all the decision-making power comes from.
Let's use the baseball glove example from our source material, because I think this is really the aha moment where the power of this just clicks. So we've got a company, they sell baseball gloves for $200 each. The variable cost for one glove is $110. So the CM per unit is $90. Pretty straightforward.
Yep, $90.
In their base case, they sell 1,000 gloves. So sales are $200,000, variable costs are $110,000. That leaves a contribution margin of $90,000. Their fixed costs, rent, salaries, all that, are $63,000. So $90,000 minus $63,000. They're left with a profit of $27,000.
Okay.
Right. Now for the what if. Let's say management runs a great promotion and sales volume jumps by 20%. So now they're selling 1,200 gloves. Sales revenue goes up to $240,000. Variable costs also go up proportionally to $132,000. So their new contribution margin is $108,000. And here's where the magic happens. We take that new CM, $108,000, and we subtract the fixed costs. And the fixed costs are, they're still $63,000. They haven't moved an inch.
They don't move.
So the new profit is $45,000.
Okay, now just stop and look at those numbers. Sales volume went up by 20%, but profit didn't go up by 20%. Profit went from $27,000 to $45,000. That is a massive 67% increase in profit.
67%. That is
Excess
incredible leverage. Why didn't the traditional income statement prepare me for that?
because of operating leverage. Once you sold enough gloves to cover that $63,000 fixed cost bill, every single new glove you sold, all those extra 200 units, contributed its full $90 CM straight to the profit line. It's like the rent just disappeared for those last 200 sales. And that ability to turn small changes in sales into huge changes in profit, that is the competitive edge CVP gives you.
It really does change how you think about costs. You have to visualize them. The variable costs. Picture that as a line starting at 0 and sloping up. The more you make, the more it costs.
And the fixed costs are the opposite. A flat horizontal line at $63,000. It's the same whether you make 0 gloves or 1,000,000 gloves. It's just there.
And once you get that behavior in your head, that fixed costs are what create this leverage, you can start using ratios to make these calculations super fast.
Exactly. We can turn the contribution margin into a ratio. For the gloves, we had $90,000 of CM on $200,000 in sales. So the contribution margin ratio, or CM ratio, is 45%.
So 45%. That means for every single dollar of sales, 45 cents is left over to help pay for fixed costs and then become profit. It's like an instant quality score for your sales.
And it creates this perfect, stable relationship. The variable cost ratio was 55%. And 55 plus 45 is always 100%. They're two sides of the same coin.
So the power of this is, like, for planning on the fly, let's say sales might go up by $40,000. You don't need to recalculate everything. You just know that 55% of that, 22 grand, will be eaten by variable costs.
And the other 45%, $18,000, is pure extra contribution margin. And since your fixed costs are already paid, that whole 18 grand drops right to the bottom line as new profit.
This efficiency leads us right to the core equation of all of this.
Right. The whole thing mathematically is just profit equals your sales minus your variable costs minus your fixed costs. That's the CVP equation.
And the number one question any business owner wants to answer with that is the survival question. Where do I break even? Where is the point that my profit is exactly 0?
Which is just another way of saying, at what point does my total contribution margin exactly equal my fixed costs?
So how do we calculate that for the glove company?
2 ways. First, in units. The formula is just your fixed costs divided by your contribution margin per unit. It's incredibly simple.
So $63,000 in fixed costs divided by the $90 CM for each glove. That gives us 700 units. They have to sell 700 gloves just to keep the lights on.
Yes. But think about what that number, 700, gives you. The second you sell glove number 701, you're profitable. And every single glove after that, from 701 to 1,000 and beyond, contributes its full $90 straight to profit. That's the leverage in action.
Okay, and if I think better in dollars than in units?
Then you use the CM ratio. The formula is break-even sales in dollars equals fixed costs divided by the CM ratio.
So 63,000 divided by 45%. That gives us $140,000 in sales.
And you can check your work, right? 700 units times the $200 price tag is $140,000. When the unit math and the dollar math line up, you know you can trust that number.
But nobody gets into business just to break even. The next question is obvious. How many units do I need to sell to hit a target profit? Let's say $36,000.
The equation handles that beautifully. You just treat that target profit like another fixed cost you have to cover. So the formula becomes units equals your fixed costs plus your target profit, all divided by the CM per unit.
Okay, so $63,000 in fixed costs plus our $36,000 target. That's a $99,000 hurdle. We divide that by the $90 per unit, and we need to sell exactly 1,100 units.
And now you have a concrete sales goal tied directly to a financial target.
Yeah.
No more guessing.
It's often visualized on a CVP graph, right?
Yeah.
I think seeing it helps understand the risk.
It does. The graph is less for doing the math and more for just getting an instant feel for the business model. You have 2 lines. The total revenue line starts at 0 and goes up. The total cost line, this is key, it doesn't start at 0. It starts up at 63,000, your fixed cost level, and then slopes up more gently.
And where they cross.
That's your break-even point. And the graph just instantly shows you that the whole area to the left of that point is the loss area. And the area to the right is the profit area. It really visualizes how the profit potential just explodes once you get past that break-even intersection.
So this brings it all together. This isn't just theory. This is the daily toolkit for managers. This is why you keep this stuff internal.
Oh, absolutely. The applications are everywhere. First, pricing. You can work backwards to figure out the price you need to charge to get the CM ratio you want.
Or cost control. If your leather supplier raises prices and the variable cost goes from 110 to 120, you instantly know your CM just dropped to $80, and you can recalculate your new higher break-even point in seconds.
Then there's scenario analysis. What if we spend an extra 10 grand on advertising? Well, that raises your fixed costs, but CVP lets you calculate the exact number of extra sales you need to justify that spend.
And maybe the most important for a complex business, product mix. If you sell gloves with a 45% CM and hats with a 20% CM, you know exactly which product gives you more bang for your buck and where to focus your sales team.
And that's the whole point of managerial accounting. The traditional statement is for outsiders, investors, regulators. This CM income statement, this is for the people on the inside making the actual decisions. It's the language of control.
The message here really is that CVP gives you this systematic insight, this confidence. It's not about memorizing formulas. It's about fundamentally understanding the engine of your business, the relationship between costs, volume, and profit.
And that engine, as we saw, can have incredible power. That 67% profit jump. That leverage is the core takeaway. CVP is really the ultimate tool for understanding a company's financial DNA.
You're right. We saw that the high fixed costs, that $63,000, it's a higher hurdle to clear. It's more risk. But the reward, the upside, once you clear it, is just exponential. A company with high fixed costs has more operating leverage.
That's the trade-off, isn't it? The mix of fixed and variable costs defines the entire risk and reward profile of a business. And the next step for anyone listening, the thing to really chew on, is to think about how that structure changes for different businesses. Think about a software company with huge fixed costs versus a freelance consultant with almost none. If you understand their cost structure, you immediately understand their risk, their challenges, and their potential for explosive, scalable profit.
A fantastic final thought. Understanding that inherent risk and reward structure is what separates the manager from the historian. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.